For more discussion, I would like to welcome from London Dr. Marcos Papadopoulos, the expert on international affairs and specialist in the Middle East. Hello, Dr. Marcos. As if you speak at the outset about Iran's capability to cause harm for the bases and the interest in the Gulf countries and now the sea. So how we can see a balance between both goals?
Well, for 40 years or so, Iran prepared for war with America. The Iranian government was acutely aware that America maintained very sinister objectives in relation to Iran, namely the overthrow of the Iranian government and returning Iran to how it was during the years of the Shah, namely a colony of the West's. So, in those 40 or so years, the Iranian government has developed a very large and powerful military force and a very large and powerful missile force. Missiles many of which are ballistic missiles. And as a result of that, we see that Iran, whilst sustaining very substantial damage, has at the same time inflicted very substantial damage all across Israel and on American military bases in the Arab Gulf. And along with that, the Iranian government has developed a very efficient, organized and large armaments sector. And that armaments sector is to a very large extent based deep inside of mountains where American missiles and Israeli missiles cannot reach them. So whilst on a daily basis, Iran is firing many missiles and deploying many drones, at the same time, Iranian munition factories are manufacturing many missiles and drones. So that is why I say that Iran has the upper hand in this war.
Trump's statement tried to justify continuing that war. He also spoke that he was forced to join this war, and on the other side we can see resignations and briefs. So, can we say that there is a confusion in the American administration? Can we say that there is pressure on Trump, or he feeling ease to achieve these goals?
I believe that there is bitter divisions, not only within the Trump administration, but also within the American government as a whole. So I have said since day one of this war that the Pentagon no doubt told Trump, do not go to war with Iran. I believe also that the CIA warned Trump of the immense capabilities of the Iranian military and how the Iranian government enjoys massive support within Iran from the Iranian people. Recently, the director of counter-terrorism, Joe Kent, resigned. And in his resignation to Trump, he said effectively that this is not America's war, that America has gone to war against Iran because of pressure from Israel. And Joe Kent also said in his letter that Iran posed no imminent threat to America or to the American people. So as a result of that, the spotlight is once again on Trump. Why did he go to war with Iran? What is his objective? What is his end game? What is his strategy for achieving his objective or his end game? Ultimately, what Joe Kent said is absolutely correct. Trump and many others within his administration are completely beholden to the Israelis, beholden to them in numerous ways, including the Epstein files.
So, Dr. Marcus, in your opinion, why Israel choose this specific time in order to assassinate Ali Larigani, and what after that in the diplomatic level and also in the military level? Please stay with us, Dr. Marcus. So, we'd like to share this live footage from Saida. These are growing smokes as a result of an Israeli raid. We can see this live footage from Saida, a new Israeli raid against Saida. These are intensified smokes as a result of an Israeli raid from Saida. Back to you, Dr. Marcus. I was speaking with you. Why Israel chose this time specifically to assassinate Ali Largani? And in your opinion, what after that assassination on the military level and also in the political level?
Well, Iran is more than one man. Furthermore, like with any other country in the world, in Iran there is a system in place whereby if a senior leader dies, that man is replaced. So for the Americans and the Israelis, assassinating Iranian leaders along with their families, which is a very major war crime, is for simply propaganda purposes. It is a way for Washington and Tel Aviv to say to the world that America and Israel is winning the war, that they are killing the Iranian leadership. But in practice, killing Iranian leaders has no bearing on the battlefield, because whilst Iran has had many of its leaders killed, this has not had a detrimental impact on Iran's military ability to defend itself and to go on the offensive. So the Americans and the Israelis can continue to kill as many Iranian politicians as they like. It will not affect the military dimension to this war. And on top of that, there are over 90 million people in Iran. America and Israel cannot kill the entire Iranian population. And the vast majority of the Iranian people are united in defense of Iran, are united in defense of Iran's independence and sovereignty, and are prepared to fight a protracted war to the end against America and Israel.
So how the United States is preparing for this option that the conflict will be expanded, the confrontation will be expanded, especially that no scenario until this moment to get out of this war that US and Israel started?
As I said moments ago, there is no clear objective from the Trump administration. Therefore, there is no clear strategy. The Americans have effectively abandoned the Arab Gulf countries. The Americans are now focusing their defensive means on Israel. But even that is not preventing Iran's missiles and Iran's drones from inflicting serious damage all across Israel. So for the Americans, they are in a very deep quagmire. Trump can still bring an end to the war. He can declare a victory of sorts. But the problem for Trump is this. Whilst the Americans could cease their war against Iran, would Israel cease its war against Iran? And if Israel continues to attack Iran, Iran will continue to attack Israel, meaning that America will be compelled to go to the defense of Israel. And as a result, America inevitably will start striking Iran once again. So on the face of it, there seems no end to this war, but the Iranians have an infinite amount of oil and gas to continue this war. The Iranians have a vast amount of munitions and munition factories to sustain the Iranian military in this war. The Americans and the Israelis are running very low on munitions. They are also starting to run low on oil. At the same time, oil prices are going to skyrocket in the world. And that is going to have an impact not only in West Asia, but in Europe, including Britain, and in America. And in America, the American people are very, very angry at Trump. And in particular, vast sections of MAGA believe that Trump is a traitor. So there is a question, how long will Trump continue as president?
Do you think Iran right now has some cards which they could maintain? And if your answer was yes, what are the cards Iran has which did not show yet, and these cards can be effective in this confrontation?
I believe that Iran has military capabilities that most people in the world are not aware of. However, what I believe is clear is that the Strait of Hormuz is where Iran can exert enormous pressure on America and on any other country which is supporting America's war against Iran, because Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz. It is allowing Russian and Chinese tankers to pass. It is also allowing, I now believe, Indian tankers to pass. However, it is not allowing Western tankers to pass. So, what is Trump's options? Well, the only option he has is to deploy the American Navy to the Strait of Hormuz. But he will not do that because the American military and the CIA will have told Trump that Iran has in place a system whereby if America and Iran are at war with each other, and if Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz, and if America attempts to end the Iranian closure of the Strait of Hormuz by deploying the American Navy there, the Iranians will destroy American battleships. Therefore, that explains why Trump is not going to deploy the American Navy to the Strait of Hormuz. That explains why other countries in the world, such as Britain and Japan, have told Trump that they will not deploy their navies to the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians, no doubt, have a very, very effective system in place. They are waiting for the American Navy to arrive in the Strait of Hormuz, and they will be able to sink American battleships in the scenario that the American Navy is deployed to the Strait of Hormuz. So as long as the Iranians have control over the Strait of Hormuz, they can continue to force the Americans economically in this war. And as a result, the Iranians are making their Russian friends an immense profit because many countries in the world are now buying Russian oil because their tankers are not allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. So the Iranians are exerting massive economic pressure on America, and at the same time, the Russians are making an immense amount of money because Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marcos Papadopoulos, the expert of international relations and specialized in the Middle East affairs. Thanks so much for being with us.